welcome to ScreenHour with me, Kieran.
And me, Mikey.
Where we will discuss the latest releases of films, series and games regarding our own impressions and experiences. We will also warn you before we deep dive into any spoilers.
This week we're going to be doing Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, the new release. And we're going to be doing our thoughts on that and our general review as always. So, a bit of a prefix. I won't be giving too much, but you've never played a game of Dungeons and Dragons? And I've always kind of wanted to. Like, we had a friend, a mutual friend, I think Kieran and got one in there, Miles, who I remember he suggested playing to me or something like that, playing with him at university.
Oh, I remember Miles, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lovely chat. Shout out to Miles if you are very low chance of listening to it.
I know during lockdown, Dan and Dykes, we've had Dykes on the podcast before, Ryan Dykes. Who's Ryan? I think we call him Dyke. I remember during lockdown they mentioned us playing some D&D or something. We're fully down for it, but I think we just never found the time for it or whatever.
Yeah, I've always been kind of interested on, I don't know, using your imagination and how, people, in a typical very geeky, nerdy way, it was video games before video games when it was, being fantasy and, embracing it using your imagination. So, that all being said, the closest I've got to that, funny enough, I just started playing it this week, is the Dungeons and Dragons. Well, at first, Borderlands DLC and now full-blown Wonderlands game. So that's the closest reference I've got in general, just fantasy. I do references, because Dungeons and Dragons was the first, if you don't include Lord of the Rings, that was, what really elevated the fantasy genre, isn't it? Or you can only see it.
Yeah, as you say, it's the poor man's Lord of the Rings. We want to be in that world, but we don't have the special effects to do that, so we create it in our imagination.
Thing like that. But I just found this film amusing and fun.
Yeah, I think that was the intention.
It wasn't, it wasn't incredibly dramatic. It doesn't have action scenes like fucking John Wick, obviously, and that's from it all. The art and that fight choreography is amazing. There's no amazing cinematography, but it's just, I don't want to get into, spoil it too much in the sense that, here's my whole review, but it's just a nice, easy watch,
I say you don't need to know anything about Dungeons and Dragons either. You can just go in and watch it as a normal sort of fantasy film and begin to understand the world through watching it, as me and you did, because we know squat and we've watched it and we've enjoyed it and we've taken things out of it and understood sort of the world that's created there.
It's very right in the sense that, it's, you don't have to know, the campaigns like the background for you to enjoy the references, and you probably do enjoy them more, I suppose, but it's very clear to have the character roles and the archetypes are there and the mimics are in it and things like that. But it's, you don't feel like you're going to be isolated if you feel like, Dungeons and Dragons. If you go in thinking, Dungeons and Dragons for nerds, I'm not going to like it. Well, you probably aren't going to like it, but if you're very open with the fantasy genre, I think you will. And it's, for a bit of context, it was the same who done the Game Night films with Rachel McAdams and Jason Bateman a few years ago.
Oh, I know the one you mean, yeah. That wasn't a half-bad film, actually, yeah.
And that's very much in the same vein, where it's just a bit of a sit back on a Friday and just have a bit of a laugh film, and they've directed it, and I think they wrote it as well, and apparently in the interviews I've listened to, they like to breed very a very soft and fun improvisation atmosphere on set. So they'll write stuff, and then if it's flowing well, and they'll include new gags, and they want the actors.
You want the actors to play with the script and ad-lib and, embody their characters, and, it's like, oh, well, I actually think this is what my character would say because, I am that character and I've sort of created this whole persona. I feel like this is the direction they go. And it's like, yeah, have at it, have fun.
Exactly. And that's what's, by the sounds of the interviews I've listened to, and that's very much the case. And it does work really well in the film. The general plot is
It's a heist film, is the general plot.
The general plot is like it's a heist film, and they've got to get MacGuffins or like plot devices across the film. And in a typical like fun fantasy heist, well, typical fun heist film, each person brings a certain, I don't know, element,
Set of skills.
and set of skills. Not to quote Liam Neeson from Taken,
Yeah.
they have things they bring to the table, and that's quite funny. It's often quite very meta and sort of referential, where like someone even goes, "So what do you bring?" type of thing. Something I know Kieran brings up, and two is like we're quite opposite in this sense. When I get excited for things, I tend to watch a lot of trailers, and I wasn't mega excited for this, but I was more curious, and I was like, I thought, it'll be fun to watch, and I was right. But you end up watching trailers for stuff. I think this happens a lot in comedies, is that a lot of the really good gags are like in the film, are also in the trailer, so they kind of get like semi-spoiled.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. Like, I will admit, the Dungeons and Dragons trailers were really bad. I wanted to watch this film for one reason only, Chris Pine, because I'm quite a big fan of Chris Pine. I enjoy the stuff he does. So even if this film was going to be shit, I still wanted to watch it because he was in it. And the trailers really did their best to put me off watching it. But I was like, nah, it'll be good. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'll just watch it. It'll be fine. And ironically enough, Metacritic and Rotten Tomatoes and stuff, they actually had really high scores. And I was like, oh, that feels really weird considering the trailer, because the trailer looked shit. But I understand it after watching the film, to be fair. As you say, all of the best bits, as comedies go, all the best gags and stuff are always in the trailers, because it's like, oh, this film's going to be funny because of this gag, right? But the thing is, they always put those gags in the trailers, so when it lands in the film, you've already seen the joke once or twice, and you're like, you just sort of like nose exhale rather than laugh. You're like,
Another thing I will say is it's very, again, this is more so to do with the marketing other than the quality of the film. If anything, like the quality of the film, I quite like this, but it's a bit annoying that, like you said, the trailers kind of spoil it. During the first 5 minutes, something happens with one of the characters, literally the first 5 minutes, the setup of the entire film. Something happens with one of the main characters, and you see that in the trailer, and it would have been nice for you to see that, just when you're watching the film.
say not to shit on this film in particular, because almost every film does this in trailers. Especially as you say, the comedy films, they all do this. So it's not just this film in particular, but all films put all their best gags in the trailers, and then it just doesn't land as hard as it should in the film.
Yeah, this film, like, what it does really well is just have a good ensemble cast with gels with each other. That basically, that gist and theme just carries this film. Or the chemistry between something like a couple of years ago, I say a couple of years ago, I think it was 2017 when we watched Wonderlands. But if you had said to me, Chris Pine and Michelle Rodriguez would have like just as good of a don't get me wrong, it's not romantic, but just as good chemistry as Gal Gadot and Chris Pine in a film, I'd be like, what are you on about? How would that happen? What film would that be for that to facilitate that? And this is great for that. It's Sorceress Solomon, which is very random. It's a very unsorcery name.
It's like Bob from Maverick, isn't it? Bob.
It's very it feels very underwhelming for a very high fantasy world, but it's quite good. Especially because I think the druid is called Dorak, and she's a female, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's quite a masculine name, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. But that's quite a cool and unique name. And then just got Solomon. No shade on any Solomons listener at all. Well, I don't quite read my Solomons.
Yeah, your name's just not fantasy enough.
Well, yeah, exactly.
But as you were saying about Chris Pine and Michelle Rodriguez, what I did like is they didn't make them like a romance couple.
Yeah, I quite like that. In fact, I think that's a very good observation in the sense that it suits them better for them not to be, and I feel like it would have been too forced.
Yeah.
It was kind of nice. Well, I'll get into that more a bit later, I suppose. But yeah, that especially. I think another thing was that it didn't seem to sag like, and as in like there was no real bits.
Was there boring bits? Was there?
There was no real boring bits. That's exactly what I was going to say. There's just it's rather amusing. Even the exposition, because it's done in such a like.
It knows it's doing exposition, so it does it in a fun way.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. It's don't get me wrong, you're not laughing out loud, you're not lolling on the floor as they say, but like yeah, it's pretty easy. It's pretty amusing, or it's meta. So it's meta, like so it gets away with it. Like Kieran says, it knows it's doing it, so like it's pretty fun. Like
yeah, I'm trying. To be fair, it's actually the busiest. I went to go see it in the cinema a few days ago now, and it's the busiest the cinema has been for me for a long time. Like, to the point that I was actually, like, sat with people either side of me, and I haven't had that in the cinema for a long time. Not because I don't have friends, but because, just because it was just super busy.
that is wild, but
I was working away, okay? But, like, honestly, like, I haven't seen a cinema that big. Like, even when I went to see Maverick on multiple occasions, or The Batman, or, I mean, anything I went to see last year, not once was the cinema as busy as it was watching Dungeons and Dragons, which, you know, I think is good. Obviously for the cinema industry and for the film itself, you know, it's getting bums in seats, but the target audience is definitely a lot younger than me and you are, because literally there was me, and then maybe, in fact, I don't think there was anybody else in there the same age as me. There were either parents and kids, or like, you know, pensioners.
Yeah, I think I very much agree, but I saw it on the last day of half term, and it's a very like prime time family film well, I went on that Friday, just gone, and the only thing which was really showing was that and Super Mario. That, like you say, because it was half term as well, I think, you know, just it's an ideal thing to take the kids for.
Exactly. And as we normally do, we give you 1 of 3 ratings. You know, go see it in a cinema, wait for streaming, or just don't bother. Now, for me personally, I would say the middle rating. I would say wait for it to come onto streaming, and, you know, enjoy the film at home. Like, it's a good film, you will enjoy it, but I don't think it's worth the price of the cinema. However, if you're a family and you've got kids, your kids will really enjoy it, and it is a good go-to-cinema family film.
Yeah, I agree in the sense that I know, like, the cinema, like, especially nowadays, unless you're going on other cat movies or going like a random time where like it's a lot cheaper, it is quite expensive now as well. And like,
oh yeah, it's easily between 15 and 20 quid for cinema tickets now.
Exactly. But to contradict that point, if you need an excuse to keep your little ones quiet, or for like an hour and a half or whatever,
a day out,
and if they're like, I don't know, if they're I reckon if they're over the age of 8, but like, you know, over the age of 8, but younger than like 20s, like, we enjoyed it. You know, I'm not quite as old as, I'm not 30 yet, but we're late 20s, and yeah, again, it is just fun. Like you've watched the trailer, and you think this is a bit of fun, like, and it is.
There was something that was in my mind as I was watching it, thinking this is like this film. Right now, I can't remember what it was I was thinking. Warcraft. I was going to say Warcraft.
Well, I get into more in spoilers, but I hadn't saw, you know, I always struggle to remember his name. I think it's Reggie Lee Page.
Oh, it's like Gene Page something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in Bridgerton.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. The only other thing I'd seen him in was Bridgerton. Oh, Tan Lloyd. He's in The Grey Man. He's in The Grey Man on Netflix. That's quite a good film, actually. I'd seen him in that, and he absolutely like smashes in this. Like his role in this, having been like the very straight man, to like, is just, it works really well.
Yeah, he's very literal, isn't he?
He's very literal, yeah, incredibly so.
And I like the. She's not an elf, is she? She's like
the druid.
The druid, yeah, the druid. I really liked her character. because she was so capable and she took no nonsense about nothing. You know, she was just focusing on the mission and getting things done. And I loved the bit where she is going through her like transmorph or something. What would you call it?
Yeah, like morphing into an animal, isn't it?
Yeah, basically. And how she does all that through the kingdom, and she's changing and she's trying to escape. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was a great use of special effects. I mean, shame it's not real, but where's my stunts? Why can't you do that for real? And I really, again with the special effects, I liked how they kept changing the Dark Wizard's dress from navy to red. Was it navy to red or was it black to red? I can't remember if it's navy or black.
I think you're right. Dark blue to red, I think it was, yeah.
I liked how it was just constantly subtly changing. Unless you were like taking notice, you didn't know. It's like, wait, why is it red? Oh wait, it's blue now, right? But if you paid attention, you'd be like, oh, you could see it slowly changing. And I just appreciate those little nuanced things. I thought that was really good.
I like that the villains, they don't try really hard to give you those exposition with the villain. It's very, I don't know, it's set up really easy, but to the point that one of the main like cruxes of this film is Chris Pine's like fatherhood and him being one. And it's just, his daughter's in danger. And that that's any motivation you really need. But like the villain's not like, they're underdeveloped either. But for like a film which got so much going on, I think they would have, if they'd spent too much on the villain, where that could have been boring for what it's worth.
When you say the villain, you're on about him or her?
But I was going to get into...
Yeah, because I think him is a spoiler, isn't he?
Yeah, that's why I haven't got into it. But again, we're getting into that a bit. I don't know. I honestly, apart from it, I was just wound, like in the sense that...
Whelmed. I wasn't underwhelmed. I wasn't overwhelmed. I was just whelmed.
I just liked it. Yeah, I just liked it. I didn't love it. Like, there wasn't a few scenes. I can't, like you were saying, I think I quite liked the chase scene with the druid. That was pretty cool. I liked a lot of the villain scenes, but again, I'll touch on more in that in a minute. The villain, like, I'm really up for this person just playing these villain roles. I'm loving it at the moment. I'm loving like how they've changed. I liked the companionship, but it's hard for me to like pinpoint a few particular scenes because I just liked it in general. Really, I liked the paladin in, well, it wasn't hell, but like it was like the underworld. I quite like the action scene. That was one of the few action scenes.
So that was pretty cool. So to be fair, I mostly liked it when they did the heist. Those are the scenes I remember the most.
Yeah.
Such as when the druid steps through the window. So, well, steps through, it's not a window, through like the portal. But the portal's like a frame. And she like, it's how they get the frame into the carriage as it's going ahead. And how she like flips, you see it in the trailer, but how she like flips through the ground and then ends up inside the carriage, right? And then how she stows everything away, and then they arrive in the palace, and then the things on the floor, and they have to try and dig it out. And
I did really like, and again, I won't mention who it is at all because I really liked it for this man. As one of my favourite cameos. Any film has. Honestly, Randy Orton, mate, I did not see it coming at all. And I loved it for that. And it's a person you like, what?
To be fair, the person I thought, if it was going to be a cameo of anyone, the person you would expect it to be would be Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not. But it's cool. Oh, I tell you what I did like, and I'm pretty sure they've done it in the trailer again. Like, yeah, I know this is a review of the film, not a review of the trailer. And I'm glad they didn't do this. I quite like the use of it in Thor Ragnarok when they play classic rock music at the end of Thor Ragnarok, but I feel like a lot of like action fantasy films or superhero films or even just action films in general just love playing like classic rock over like a good action scene. And like it becomes like it's become to a point now where it's a trope, and it's just become a bit cringy, like because it happens so much.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they didn't do that. There's a few bits where I almost felt like they was going to do it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know the music I know was composed by Lorne Balfe, who does the music for the Mission Impossible films, and he's always been right on the money with his scores. He's always gotten the right tone and feel of films and stuff. So when I was aware that he was the one going to be doing the music for this, so I was like, oh, that's another reason to go see it. You know, if it's like Hans Zimmer, it's like, oh, Hans Zimmer's doing the score to this film. Well, guess I'll go see the film now then.
Oh, that's what I was going to say is like, whether it didn't really stand out to me, but that's neither a good thing or a bad thing. It didn't.
It didn't take away, yeah.
Yeah, in a way, like I think Kieran said it before, or like we both agreed, both concurred, like which happens often, dare I say. But where, in a way, a good composer doesn't stand out and just enhances the film, like type of thing. I feel like that. I don't know. I was just indifferent to the composing of it. There was no like, I don't know. Again, not to sound arty-farty for the sake of having a podcast or being arty-farty. There was no mad like, I don't know, cinematography or mad shots apart from like a couple of chase scenes like we've touched on.
Yeah, it was more like a transition as such. Like, as I said, as she steps through the portrait, and then there's that sort of transition there. Or you've got like, I mean, to be fair, the imagery of like the, I generally can't remember what it's called, but sort of the main villain, and it's all got like that red tentacle shit that's going everywhere.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's some cool imagery there. I mean, the underworld itself, the set design and stuff there was really cool. I mean, all of it was fair. The set design was actually really good. Costumes were really good as well. You know, nothing felt out of place.
Well, again, I'm going to remember his name incorrectly, but Reggie John Page, he said that he used most of the old Game of Thrones sets, like, which makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. They're still there, like. Have
you got anything non-spoilery you want to touch on?
No, I'm gonna say most things I can think of are probably spoilery now.
Yeah, so to quote the Joker, here we go. Before we get into juicy spoilers, we'd like to take a moment to thank you for listening to us and to help us further our aspirations. We would forever appreciate it. And if you would like to subscribe to us, follow us and join your preferred platforms, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple and Instagram with our handle, The ScreenHour. And if you'd like to participate in an episode, leave your thoughts on what you'd like to see us cover next. That'll be ideal. Now time for spoilers. You have been warned. They're coming up. Yeah, Hugh Grant. I just want more Hugh Grant of being a dick. I love it. I love how, I think he said in an interview, like, I think it was on the Empire, it says that, you know, people are loving you being a villain ever since Paddington 2. Like, how come you, like, shifted into this? And he says, I got forced into it because now I'm old and ugly. He says, I can't do rom-coms anymore. And he says, I quite like doing it. And I wouldn't say he's a particularly... the first film I really loved him in, which when he wasn't, like, playing the rom-com thing, was The Gentleman, which came out in, like, 2019 Guy Ritchie film. It's a great film. Great, like, weird, like, very Guy Ritchie film.
Yeah.
The character he plays in that is so weird and, like, a bit creepy, but all very, like, quick, but also charming. He's similar to this, but he's similar to that character, but he's, like, it's toned down so he can be, like, kid-friendly, in a sense.
Yeah, it's definitely, there's definitely more of a kid-friendliness there, but he's more sort of witty, I guess, in this, where he's trying to be witty with the things he does, like his character, not Hugh Grant. His character's trying to be very witty, and it tries to think that they're the one with the upper hand, right, and they're, you know, above it all, but really they're just greedy, and it's the Red Witch that actually has the power over him, that's using him as a puppet, whereas he thinks they're in cahoots together as an alliance sort of thing.
I quite like that. I quite liked, again, him turning in the first 5 minutes of the film. I feel like that would have been cool if I didn't know that happening, but because I saw the trailer of him saying, I leave. Again, I thought that was quite a funny, amusing line when he says, I don't want to watch you die, he says, so I'm just going to leave the room or something.
Yeah.
that's not megally funny, but it's quite amusing. But like, because I saw it the second time, I was like, it even like, faves me a bit even less, like you say on it.
Yeah, so if I'd have just experienced that in the cinema, I definitely would have laughed out loud, right? But because I saw it in the trailer, right, and then you're on social medias or whatever, and there's always like little sound bites here and there. It's like 20-second clips to promote the movies, right? That was a clip I saw quite a few times, so I just got desensitized to it by the time I saw it for reals.
Do you know what I did quite like with the characters? I quite like that Chris Pine, like simultaneously wasn't a coward, but he also wasn't like an OP action hero like he has been in other times.
Yeah, he just felt like a neutral. He was like the everyday man.
Yes, I quite like that. Again, like we touched on it very lightly, just but that Bradley Cooper cameo, I was absolutely creased, like, just did not see that coming.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like it was jokes that he was just tiny and like,
well, yeah, Michelle Rodriguez was just like this absolute like juggernaut of a woman. And he was like, oh, here's my darling.
I like how like his current girlfriend or his current wife or whatever, that she was also like huge as well. Like just like seemed like a giant barbarian.
Yeah. He must have a fetish, like.
He must have, that must be his kink, bless him. Fucking praise it, man, honestly, like credit to it. But I like just how wholesome and cute he was. Like obviously it was like emphasised even more because he was tiny and like cute. He even had like the little bash full of hair going on, bless him. But like that was just fun. I like quite enjoyed that. Again, like I'm really glad. I know we're going on about the whole trailer concept words, but I'm glad that wasn't spoiled because that was like probably one of my highlights of the entire film.
Yeah, and to be honest, that is something most producers would want in a trailer because they're like, oh look, there's a cameo from Bradley Cooper and he's small and she's large. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, and that's what they want in your trailers to draw you in. And that's a good thing they didn't put that in a trailer because that would have it would have meant nothing when watching the film. It wouldn't have mattered left, right, or centre. It would have just been a thing in the film.
I quite liked that all of like what the gang of like Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, Justice Smith, and I can't remember the Drew's actress name.
Sophia Ellis
or something. Yeah, that's it. You're right. Them as a dynamic, all four dynamics smash it. I love how like the chemistry between them and like they all have little relationships type of thing, and like how each one gets introduced. I thought that was good. I liked that Michelle Rodriguez character Holger. He's kind of like a surrogate mom to the the daughter, and I like that.
That was a good. I actually liked that ending for that reason.
I like that ending quite a lot because in a way, she doesn't. Yeah, she would have. Yeah, the mom you like to presume would have been a good mom for the daughter, but she didn't know the mom, did she? She was a baby, so like she didn't
know her real mom. Yeah.
Yeah. How much does she really miss the mom? But like if Holger died, she loved Holger. She grew up a Holger, so Holger or not. But yeah.
I think it's Holger.
Holger, yeah. But again, I like that.
Yeah, I thought that was a good ending. I thought it was because they killed her off, and I was like, oh, that's a bit of a shit. And I was like, if they're gonna make a second film or whatever from this, like, you can't not have Michelle Rodriguez in it because, she was one of the better elements. She's like the brutal one, and their chemistry works so well together. Like, it'd just be a shame not to have her in the next one. That's how I see this going. Is there's gonna be a next one. But I was like, this doesn't make sense. But then I was like, they got that little thingamabob that could bring them back. And I was like, nah, he's not going to use it on her, is he? I was like, well, I suppose that would make sense in like a fantasy sort of world. And then he has that, Chris Pine's character has a little flashback sort of thing. And then he realises his daughter saying, I need you. Right. And then I was like, I did have a tear in my eye. I was like, oh, he's got me.
Yeah, exactly. And I quite liked as well at that moment. He gets it out, like, type of thing. And he sees the daughter nod her head. And she's like, yeah, fuck it, I'll do it. As in, the daughter's, because she's a young teenager, she's like smart enough to realise, they don't grow on trees. You can only use this like magic spell thing once. Like, so if I do it now, you can't do it for your mum. And she's just like, nods her head. And she's like, yeah. But like, one thing which is quite cool, and this is a backhanded compliment, It was smart writing, like you say. You kind of didn't expect it to happen, but when it did happen, like it wasn't like, I mean, it wasn't a huge twist. Don't get me wrong, like, but it was cool. It's not what I thought. It was going to be more simple than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something I feel like the Paladin would be in the next one, if there's another one. But I don't know if there is. I don't know if I missed him more there. I don't know if there was just enough of that character, and that's what made me like it, or if there was too much, or would have it diminished it. But I liked his presence. I liked every interaction they had with him was gold.
I think what is good as well, actually, is, you know, when films do these sort of like get a load of unlikely heroes together, like really random people together, they all end up being the sort of same character with the same sort of backstories, or, you know, the same sort of goals and stuff like that. Whereas in this, they really are completely unlikely band of heroes. Like, they all are completely different people with completely different backgrounds, and yet they do just gel. You know, they're all completely different people with completely different ideals.
Not righteous in a dickhead way, but like, she's been expelled from the humans, she's been pissed off with them type of things, and she lives with the druid people, and she's like, no, I want, like, because she's essentially getting deforested, isn't she? Like, her home is like the one stop of thing.
Yes.
You know, she's like, who wants, like, killing all the home, like, fucking something. Which is, you know, and then you've got the rest of them, all the other three used to be in a gang of thieves. Like, I like Simon's self-esteem arc. That was like, it was very evident how that was going to go, but it was charming and quirky enough for me to like it. Well, not for me to like it, but for it not to get on my tits, put it out way.
Yeah, I think if I'm gonna say that who's the weakest character, it would have been Simon. I think he wasn't the character I gelled with the most. All the others had something that interested me. He didn't sort of pique my interest. Sorry.
I think that was part of his charm, though, weren't it? Part of like that dynamic.
If you say so.
You know, I tell you what was really weird. It's a bit of a negative, but I think it was done on purpose. So do you know where he's like, that was quite weird as well. He's that another like normie name. You know, you got Edgard, Holger, Norid, and then at the start of the film, when they're recounting like him going to prison for like stealing the stuff, and he turns around and he says, "I'm waiting for Jonathan." One of them turns out to be a bird, and the bird, like, the prosthetics looks absolutely crap. It really took me out of it. Like, it looked like the Power Rangers from the early 90s.
So I didn't like. I wasn't too phased.
Everything else looked fucking great, but that one bird they use it looks really weird. It looked like the bird from. Do you remember? Well, I think it's from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Yeah, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Yeah, 1994, like 1993. But yeah, get that top of vibes like.
It's Morphin time.
Morphin time. Well, quick trivia little fact there, because yeah, everybody knows Power Rangers sick. Like, I grew up watching Power Rangers at very old era, but my parents banned me from watching it because I used to go around the house just like, not with any form whatsoever, but all stance, just go around punching and kicking just everything in the living room. It used to be so excited. I used to be like, when I was like 3 or 4 years old, I'd just like walk and kick at the same time. But yeah, honestly, I'll still, if Power Rangers comes up as a recommended on my YouTube, I'll be on that shit like a trampoline shit. Power Rangers is a fucking so nostalgic and something.
I can't say I've got that much of a soft spot for Power Rangers, but Scooby-Doo, on the other hand, fucking love Scooby-Doo.
Everybody makes mistakes. I don't know, I like Scooby-Doo. I'm not going to slag off Scooby-Doo. Like, if you don't like Scooby-Doo, I don't know.
I used to, in the playground at school, I'm talking, I was about 8, I think. Yeah, I was about 8. Like, it was whenever the first Scooby-Doo came out, which was what, 2001, 2002?
Yeah, I'll feel like that as well, yeah.
Yeah, so I'd have been like 7 or 8. And we used to reenact scenes in the playground with my friends. I would play.
Who done Val with the cat suit?
I would play Fred as Scooby, like the actor Frank Willard. So Frank and the Fred and Scooby, right? And sometimes I'd be Shaggy.
Fred was Freddie Prinze Jr., wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. But I'm on about the voice actors for the TV shows.
Oh, fair.
Yeah, but it was Freddie Prinze Jr. And in the films, and yeah, and because most of my friends were all girls as well, so they multi-role Daphne and Velma, right? So I'd have to play most of the blokes, and then no, sorry, my bad, I made a mistake. So I would play Fred and Shaggy, and the girls would multi-role playing Scooby, Daphne and Velma, right? And we'd just like reenact all the different, like we had, I think we had 3 breaks in a day, so we had like 15 minutes at 10 o'clock. Then you got like lunchtime, and then another 15 minutes in the afternoon or something. And for like a whole week, we'd just be playing it out. Like, where did we get to? Okay, we got to this bit. And we didn't have a script or anything. We just recited it from memory.
True, I found that.
Yeah, we were all obsessed with Scooby-Doo. And I remember reconnecting with one of the girls a few years ago. Because like you all move on and stuff, and like we found each other on Facebook like probably 10 years ago now, Jesus. And I asked her, like, do you remember doing this at the playground? She had no recollection. And then I'm like, it definitely happened. I'm not making this up.
You better when you kid.
And then I spoke to another one of a few years after that, actually, and she did remember. And I was like, okay, yeah, I didn't just make that up. That wasn't just a memory my mind created to block out school.
Apparently they have done a Scooby-Doo. They've done quite a few animated Scooby-Doo films, but they haven't done like a live action one for ages, ever.
No. I mean, I've still watched all the animated ones. Like, there was a WWE one that came out not long ago.
Was it a Batman one or something? I don't know.
Yeah, Scooby-Doo meets Batman, yeah. To be fair, I think my favourite ones are still like the Cyber Chase and the Ghoul School, and then the Blues Brothers or something. The Ghoul School and Vampire Island or something.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, these ones are from like the 80s or something. But the Cyber Chase though, that was a classic. That came out I think in the early 2000s. Love that.
Is that like a sci-fi one?
Hold up, you never watched Cyber Chase?
No, I probably have one there, but like
batter up.
I don't know. I can't quote it though.
Oh my god, mate! People say you need to get out more, but I say you need to stay in more and watch fucking Scooby-Doo.
What Scooby-Doo, apparently?
Yeah, it's because Scooby-Doo had like fucking PlayStation games and stuff, and I had it on Game Boy as well.
I think I probably, yeah. I don't know.
I swear you should know it, because that was a big one when we were kids.
Was the robot like navy / purple?
No, it's not a robot. Cyber Chase is like a virus, and they're pulled into. So someone's creating a Scooby-Doo game, right? And then the gang get pulled into the game, and they have to complete the levels to reach the Scooby snacks. But there's a virus in the game, right? And the virus is trying to basically kill them in like kid-friendly fashion. And they have to beat the end of the game in order to beat the virus, right? But when they get to the end of the game, they meet their original selves when they were animated years ago.
Oh, that's quite cool.
Right, and then they have to work together to defeat the cyber thing. Yeah, that was... I actually want to watch it again now.
Well, that's Kieran's mini review of a over 20-year-old Scooby-Doo film, which, funny enough, isn't that much of a good review. I might watch it on YouTube, might watch the clip on YouTube.
Yeah, it's good. It's a proper classic. But yeah, there's loads from like when we were younger. I mean, there's more I think they've come out more recently, but definitely I think the older ones, I'm trying to remember them now, but there was the Ghoul School, there's like a Zombie Island one, there's Cyber Chase one, there's because I think the Ghoul School is...
You are loving this show. You know.
Yeah, no, I was fucking in it, mate. It was like the Addams Family sort of thing. They go to a school, I think Shaggy and Scooby. Because that was the thing as well. It wasn't always all of the gang. It was a lot of the earlier ones, like some of the earlier ones, it was just Shaggy and Scooby.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, oh God, you got me thinking now.
That was good. So Dungeons and Dragons, that was good.
Yeah, so yeah, back to Dungeons and Dragons. What we're talking about again?
Critique-wise, like main story critique-wise, would have I think this is like part of me trying to, like, I say this a lot about films, to be fair, but I would have liked to see more of the wife, or I would have liked for her to see her, like, get blammoed in a more brutal, not brutal fashion because it's kid friendly, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's a difficult one when it's more kid friendly because you want it to be in a certain way, but you're like, actually, no, it is for kids. But I'd say I see where you're coming from, where like we should have got more of like a bit of a background there with the mom. But I think we need to come at it from the perspective as the child of that's the reasoning behind why they resurrect Michelle Rodriguez rather than the mom. Because we also share that bond with Michelle rather than with the mom.
More of Michelle Rodriguez.
Yeah, so we understand why she was the one that was resurrected or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So to say, like, normally there's a big standout sort of critique I would have for a film or something, whereas this, there's just niggly little things here and there, but there's nothing to really like. It's an entertaining film. There's nothing more to be said about it, really.
It hits the middle ground so well. I can't, like, Kieran's right, I can't slag it off like the writing because it's really bad or whatever, because it's not, like, I can't praise its flight choreography loads because it hasn't really got martial arts choreography or anything, blah, blah, but it's not gory, it's not bad choreography, it's like quite fun action, so, like, I don't know, just, yeah, like what we say, like, out of the three options we usually give it, it's a very much watch it, wait until it's on Now TV in like 4 or 5 months' time. Like,
yeah, as you say, it does exactly what it says on the tin.
Yeah. So I think that's all our thoughts on good old D&D on Among Thieves.
And I would look forward to seeing a sequel.
Yeah, I'll definitely watch the sequel.
Yeah.
Whether I'd probably watch it in the cinema because I thought I'm one on Monday when it's £4. Again, I'm keen for watching another one.
Yeah. All right then. With moments of the week then. So I've watched and experienced a lot of stuff over the past, because we haven't done an episode for the past 2 weeks because we've been off to a wedding and then we're busy with life things. So we haven't had a chance to sort of sit down and have a chat. But I've watched a few things. But to narrow it down for the sake of keeping it nice and short for you, I've watched a film recently on Amazon Prime called Operation Fortune. It's the best I've seen Hugh Grant act in anything.
What is it? Is it better than, like, his character? Is he more off the wall than the gentleman?
Yeah. He's a very quirky character, and he's like it's a very fun character. It's a very fast paced film. Like, it's very fast paced. It just doesn't waste around. It just hits the ground running. It just keeps going and going and going. It's a very entertaining action film.
Is Jason Statham just playing Jason Statham, but he works?
Yeah, but I like Jason Statham. I think the best I've seen Jason Statham was in Spy.
Yeah, apparently. I have watched bits of that. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. I think it was like, I've eaten enough microchips to shit out a fucking computer. And she was like, "You're gonna blow this whole operation." "No, you are." "No, you." "No, you." "No, you." "You times a million."
I quite liked him in, again, not to sidetrack too much, but there's a Jason Statham film called The Bank Job, which came out like mid-2000s.
Yeah. It was the height of all the ones he did that was like The Mechanic and stuff like that, wasn't it?
Oh, there was like, even before that, it was like when we were kids, like, it was like based on a true story of like nicking like a bank vault in London type of thing.
Before he did The Italian Job?
Around about then,
yeah.
It was a lot more serious than the Italian Job. I quite like the Italian Job reboot. I know people say after fuck like.
Yeah, I did. I find it charming.
The trouble with that film is that it's an Italian Job remake. If there wasn't minis in it, and it wasn't called The Italian Job, and they used, I don't know.
They used Ford KAs.
Ford K is sick. Everyone's first car, Ford K. Yeah, it's quite a fun film, that is. I do want to watch that Operation. What's it? It's got a stupid name, though, isn't it?
Operation Fortune. It's basically because his character is called Orson Fortune.
Oh, fuck, man.
Yeah. But you have to roll with the punches because doesn't take it knows it's it's one of the Guy Ritchie's better ones. I think it's better than the Wrath of Man that he did. Wrath of Man is good.
I couldn't watch Wrath of Man. I got like halfway through. I couldn't. It never had the quirkiness of a normal Guy Ritchie film.
No,
it never had like the South French referential, the pitter patter, the like, I don't know, the fun framing like stories or whatever.
Yeah, it's a bit like King Arthur. That's not one of his best either.
Yeah, funny enough, I watched that with you years ago. But like, I don't know, but yeah, again, I thought that was just all right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I actually really love his Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, I've watched clips of him and they are quite good, but yeah, I remember watching.
Yeah, I mean, the first one's better than the Game of Shadows, but yeah.
The thing like has been, well, mostly playing this week. I haven't had a lot of time because like people like behind the scenes really. I've got like a big running race next week, so I've been training for that, and then I've had a wedding, like I don't know, loads of things. But I love Borderlands. The Borderlands games are my favourite all the time, but because I've played them a hell of a lot, especially like last year. Me and Kieran played 3 a lot.
Yeah, during lockdown, yeah, we smashed that a lot.
Yeah, we played that a lot, and then we had the DLC for it or whatever, and I was like, I wanted to play Wonderlands and like earn it a bit more, like wait for me to miss it. And yeah, well, if you like the Borderlands games, it's fleshed out enough for it to be different and fun, but it's still got the humour of the Borderlands games, and it's still like, I don't know, it feels smooth as well. It just feels more smooth than the other. Like each iteration, like, I don't get wrong, Borderlands 2 is probably my top 4 games, I reckon, of all time, maybe even top 3. But then if you play that now, it's a bit clunky compared to 3 and Wonderland.
I mean, don't forget Wonderlands is on next gen, whereas...
Yeah, but I think the interface and the controls are a bit different as well, like being able to slide and shoot and like...
Yeah, no, that is beneficial for sure.
Physically, the performance on the PS5 is obviously so much quicker.
Yeah.
But again, that like fits in, like I mentioned, fits in well with like the Dungeons and Dragon thing. But the framing device, like, not to be like artified, but Tina controlling and playing with a narrative here and there is that's just ripe for taking the piss out of the genre, but also like loving like and paying a homage to the fantasy genre. So yeah.
Yeah, she like changes enemies as you're about to face them, doesn't she? She's like, the enemy looks like this. And you're like, oh, that's a bit of a cop-out. And then she's like, okay, the enemy looks like this now, and they're bigger and they're stronger. And you're like, oh, great, we'll go fight that.
Yeah, exactly. And just silly stuff where I'm very near the start still, but you got to blow up some catapults. And she's like, oh, here, use this C4. And one of the other characters like, C4, that's not very fantasy. And then she literally changed it again. I'm funny enough, I knew what the trailer should have done, like giving you like your funny little bits, but to like third our game. And she says, "Oh, all right, fantasy 4 then instead of C4." But again, I feel like they've done quite well with this. And I haven't even got to the second class bit, but Kieran's told me on the reviews or whatever. It seems to be a bit more in depth, the character building, where. Don't get me wrong, on the other Borderlands games, you had the action skills of quite a few different ways to play each class, and each class would have a little role to play. With this, you've got more passive abilities. Like each one has a feat, which is like a passive thing. And then you can have, 2 different skills, and then you get like a secondary class and stuff like that. So yeah, it's cool. I'm enjoying it more than I expected, because I thought I would have been a bit more fatigued by the Borderlands and Wonderlands franchise, but no, I'm not. I've been watching Vikings, where I have 20 minutes in the background. Another thing, again, we'd probably do an episode on it in some shape or form, maybe even a convinced me episode, because I know Kieran isn't up to date to it. But anybody watching The Mandalorian, if you'll call this week, it's very evident that all of a sudden it's got a lot better, and they've made it intriguing. And if anything, again, I don't want to reveal my cards too much because we'll do an episode on it probably, but if this episode was that good, it feels like they rushed it to the point where all the other episodes were just a 6 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10. The last episode was like a 9 out of 10. That's been like really great television this week.
Oh, actually, while I remember, I've got one thing to add, actually. I was just browsing through socials the other day, and then I saw this thing, and it was like, oh, did you know, during lockdown, all of these actors got together and created a home movie version of The Princess's Bride. And I was like, what? I didn't know anything about that. So I've gone onto the YouTube and had a look for it, and I found it, and I watched the whole thing the other day, and it is so charming. I love it. So it's basically got loads of different actors. You've got,
like nearly big ones, like.
You got Hugh Jackman, Chris Pine, Jason Segel, Rainn Wilson, Rob Reiner, the original director. You got Carrie Ells or something, who is the original Wesley. You got Paul Rudd, Zoe Saldana, Mackenzie something. I can't remember her surname. Mackenzie something. She was in the Terminator Dark Fate. Jennifer Garner. You got loads. We got Dave Bautista in there as well. You got all these different actors and actresses in it, and they're all just like creating their own little segments. And then someone comes, and then the characters passed over as it goes on, sort of thing. So they all do like sort of, I don't know, a 3-minute bit of the film, right? And they're all filming it in their own like gardens, their own homes and stuff, and they've got to put a bit of costume on that they found around the house, right? And then they act it out, and then someone else is acting out the other person that's meant to be in the same scene with them. And then the director has put all these bits together so it all seems seamless. And then for the bits that are like, you know, the characters on a horseback riding, they're using Lego, right? And they're like, and it's so like charming. It's so like really
like funny, like quirky to your face.
Yeah, it's so well done because it's so random that no one asked for it. But if there was going to be a reboot or a remake of The Princess's Bride, this was the way to do it. Because the original is brilliant. It doesn't need to be remade or anything like that. There shouldn't be a reboot. But this is a nice like homage and love letter to the original. And I love the fact that all these people got engaged with it and had fun with it. I mean, I think the best in it is Diego Luna and Javier Bardem. Those are the ones that really stand out to me. The Mackenzie, whatever, I can't remember her name. Is it Mackenzie Davis or something like that?
I think so.
She does a really good job when she's getting attacked by like the eels in the water. Like she really got the camera set up, and she got like the costume of like.
Is it campy and like, I don't know. Like, well, I don't know, how serious is it? Is it like the other one?
Well, that's the thing. Like, it depends on what scene they're in. Like, so, like Diego Luna and Jack Black have like a talk, and they're quite serious with their bits, right? But there's like a little jokey bit here and there, whereas like, you know, they're using an umbrella as a sword or a lightsaber as a sword or something, and you know, Jack Black's trying to climb up the cliffs of insanity, and he's using the garden hose, which is leaking water all over him, but he's climbing up the steps of his garden, you know. So it's like there's a comedy there, and then like Javier Bardem, when he's fighting, every time the camera cuts back to him, his sword has changed to a different thing. So he's like using, I know, an umbrella, then he's using a duster, and then he's using a foam sword, and then he's using, I know, like a flower or something, you know. It's just, so they have fun with it, but then they still like take it serious and get the lines right each time, sort of thing. Like it's like word for word.
It sounds fun. Like, it sounds weird.
It's really like it's something fun to just sit back and watch and just enjoy their enjoyment of doing it as well. It's I'll say it's a good watch.
I know that like me and like, I don't, just the general consensus is that, you know, Princess Bride and Back to the Future, like the first like 2 films which come to mind, which are near like perfect films, like in like a lot of people's opinion.
Yeah.
It sounds like you say, if it's charming enough, it's ripe for the picking to do something like that. Like,
it was nice that there was no like Hollywood sheen on it. You know, it wasn't like overly polished, and there wasn't too much like lighting setups or costume setups or camera cuts. Like, there's a bit where Paul Rudd's doing it and he's doing the acting, but then you see him move his fingers towards because he's filming it on his phone, and he pinches it in so it slowly zooms in on him, and then he realizes he zoomed too far, so he goes and zooms it back out. And that's sort of like the charm of it, because obviously, like in real cinema, you don't get that, and obviously that would break the fourth wall and take you out of the film. But that's The Princess's Bride is not all that serious as well. It has its own sort of uniqueness and charm about it. Anyway,
I only watched it for the first time like a couple of years ago. It's sick, like.
I've seen it a couple of times. Adam Sandler does a brilliant reading of the grandfather. Jason Segel, is it, who's in How I Met Your Mother? He does a brilliant rendition of Andre the Giant's voice. Like I was like, wait, is he dubbing it or what? But it sounded so good.
Ah, cool. I might watch that. Yeah, I might really good.
I'm trying to think. You got John Hamm, Patton Oswalt, Sam Rockwell's in it. There's a couple of strange kids are in it.
It's all Stranger Things kids.
Stranger Things kids.
Strange looking kids.
Strange looking kids, yeah. I say it's good, it's charming, it's definitely worth it.
He sounds like at the time, obviously, would have done even better, like during COVID, did like.
Well, yeah, I don't understand how I never heard about it. You know, we all heard about them singing Imagine, but we didn't hear them doing this. But yeah, say just straight onto Google, straight onto YouTube, sorry, and just type in The Princess Bride home movie, and there's multiple ones up there, but I think the best one was uploaded by someone called Jenna or something like that, because it shows the scenes itself on the left-hand side, but then like the original sort of like picture-in-picture sort of thing.
Oh, that's cool. It's cool that it has it. I don't know to compare to.
Yeah. And it's good, and I say it's good because you got the original director in it, you got the original Wesley in it. I don't know why Robin Wright's not in it. He might have been busy, or I don't know. But I mean, that's a missed opportunity, I felt. But Rob Reiner's also got his dad, Carl Reiner, in it, and he's like the one lying in his bed, and his dad's the one reading the story in one little bit, and that's like the end of the film. But what's sad as well is that Carl Reiner actually passed away like a couple of weeks after they shot that,
right,
as well. And for those of you that don't know Carl Reiner, you probably won't know his name, but you'll know him as Soul from the Ocean's movies.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, he's like the old man in Ocean's 11, 12, and 13.
Oh, I like him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's Kensington Chab in Ocean's 13. But there we are. There's a lot to digest there.
Very Kieran and Mikey fashion. We had like a good few rants talking about Scooby-Doo, Power Rangers. Obviously, still saying Dungeons and Dragons on Among Thieves. Our random recommendations of like little stuff, but yeah.
So I've watched the Last Kingdom film tonight, actually.
Yeah.
It's called Seven Kings Must Die. It's it hits the nail on the head. It gives you what you wanted, and it's the exact same stylized as the TV show, which is what you want as well. So yeah, it's I'll say it's a good film. Enjoyed it. I got what I want. I got some closure, I guess, if you want that. No, I say it was a good film. I want to watch it again as well. It's good as well. It's on Netflix, so I can watch it again. I don't have to go to the cinema.
I want to watch it, but I'm very like.
Don't watch the film if you haven't watched the series, because it's literally it's straight after.
That's what Charlotte says. Like, do you want to watch that? And I was like, no, because I want to watch The Last Kingdom. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, you got like 5 seasons to go through, but they are worth it.
Exactly. Thank you for listening. We appreciate it.
And I guess we'll catch you in the next one.
Look after yourselves. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Catch you on the flip flap.